All right, welcome back for another lesson. We're going to start on page 21 of our notebooks. Last time we talked about translations, which is just a slide from one place to another on a plane. Today we're going to talk about reflections. All right, so here on page 21 of our notebook, we're going to talk about reflections. Now, a reflection is really just a flip, okay? And you deal with reflections all the time, probably every morning when you look into the mirror and look at yourself. You will notice that everything is opposite of what it really is, okay? It's kind of flipped around. Also, a lot of times when you take a selfie or something with that, or like that with a phone, your image is kind of flipped. It's not what it really is in real life. Or you look at an image and you're like, well, their house is opposite of that. Okay, that's all has to do with reflections, which is a flip. Okay, so if you've got some pieces of paper, last time I used a Post-it, this time I've got some construction paper. So if you have something like that, we're going to be using that here in just a second. So if you want to pause and grab that, you can definitely do so. The first thing I want to do is we're just going to draw a giant graph on this page today. That should be big enough. Okay, and let's label this. This is the x-axis, and this is the y-axis. I forgot to label that the other day. Okay, and so what I want to do is I'm going to take these, and I'm going to cut out different shapes. So the first one I'm going to take, and I'm just going to cut a triangle. Okay, and I'm going to take and I'm going to put this triangle right here, and I kind of want the point here to match up, like be really close to one of those intersections. So you may have to just cut it down just a little bit more. So if I'm here, I can make it, don't slide it over. You want this edge to be on the y-axis. You may have to like flip it like this, or maybe like this. So let's do it. Yeah. Let me cut just a little bit more off of that. Okay, how do we do there? Okay, that's perfect. That's pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to take a little piece of tape, and I'm going to tape that in there. Okay. And we'll tape that in right there. Okay, the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a rectangle, which should be pretty easy. We'll leave that one there. I'm going to cut an oval. Or some curved looking shape. And the last one I'm going to cut is a trapezoid. Something like that. Okay. The oval we're going to put over here. And again, I just want to make sure like some point is on the crosshairs. So right there, again, take a little piece of tape. If you don't have tape, you don't have construction paper, that's fine. You can still, we're going to move it out a little bit. You can still do these activities. You can still do these activities. You just may need to draw your own, and that's totally fine. The next thing we want to do there are a couple lines that we want to add to this drawing. The first one is, they're both diagonal lines that we are going to do reflections over. The first one is this one, and this line is y equals x. So it kind of just goes through diagonally through all these squares. Okay, that's enough. And then the next one goes this way, and I'm gonna mark it just a little bit differently. Okay, and these are two other special lines. This one is y equals negative x. These are two special lines that we're gonna do reflections over. Okay, so we got 4 lines that we're going to do some reflections over. We're going to take the rectangle, and we're going to kind of put it up over here. Let's put it right there. Notice I've got that point right there. Actually, let's make it this point up here. I'll put that point right there. Okay, a little piece of tape. And we'll get it taped in. Now you gotta make sure that it goes on that line. Okay, otherwise it's gonna be off a little bit. Okay, and this one we're gonna put on this diagonal line, making sure that this lines up on it. We'll slide it down a little bit. We'll get, oh, I got that point right here. Okay, so it doesn't have to be the corners. It can be any point on there. We just need one. All right. Make sure it's on the diagonal. Okay. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to go around and trace them. So we're going to trace all around in the same color here. And I'm not going to trace on the line because that part really doesn't matter, just on the outside. My lights went off. Okay. And the other thing we're going to do here is we're going to write the equation for these 4 types of reflections. Now, you can have reflections over any line that you want. These are the 4 that we're going to focus on in this class. So we start by writing an XY for the formula. So every formula, and try not to write on the tape. So every formula starts with X's and Y's. So the black here will represent our X's and Y's. So what we're going to do is we are going to flip them or reflect them, and I'm going to retrace them. Okay, so if I take this triangle here and I flip it again, try to make sure it lines up here, we're just going to retrace it the best that we can. Okay. And when we flip it, don't write anything over here yet. We're going to figure that part out here in just a second. But we will write something. And if they overlap like this, totally fine. Okay, so this one. And we'll flip this one. Again, kind of making sure that they line up. The line that we flip these over, like this diagonal line that I flip this over, is called the line of reflection. You can reflect over points, which we will see later on down the road, it gets pretty tricky when you reflect over a point or through a point. Some crazy things happen. Okay. Now, remember I told you to make sure that each picture landed on a point. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to label that point. Okay. So if we start here, and you can just kind of look here. I did this point right here. You could have done, don't do it if it's on the line, but you could have done, well, it kind of looks like the only one. So just search through there and find one. There should be one. Okay, and you're going to label it on this one, and you're also going to label it on this one. Okay, even though it may not match on this other side, you're still going to label it as closest to the point it should be. So there's the point, and that's a long way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So 17. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 17, 10. And then this one over here, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 17. Okay, now let's just talk this one through. We're going to kind of do the same thing on each one here. So look, I started with 17. That was my XY, 17, 10, and it went to 10, 17. So the only thing that happened, I kept those numbers, they just flip-flopped. So when I reflected, the Y value became my X, and my X value became my Y. So we just flip the order of those numbers, and it's a reflection over this line, okay? They flip because Y equals X and X equals Y, so they're interchangeable. All right, let's look at this triangle. So find your point here. I'll just use this one. That is 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then over here, it became -1, 5. Okay, let's see what happens. The 1 kind of stayed a 1, it just became a negative, and the 5 stayed a 5. So what we're going to say is -x, y. Okay, think about it. All your x's and y's are positive over here. So let's look at the x's. All your x values are positive. When I flip it over this line, they all become negative. Okay, all of the x's on this side of the y are negative. So, but your y values didn't change. It stayed the same height. Okay, so you got -y(x). All right, here we go. Let's find a point on this one right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So -9, -3. And then here, well, we kind of got off a little bit. It should be right there. And that is -9, +3. So kind of the same thing happening. My x value stayed the same, but it was my y value that changed signs. Okay. Up here when we did this one, this doesn't mean the first value will be negative all the time. The negative really means that it changes signs. So your y value changed signs. So if it was a negative, it became a positive. If it was a positive, it became a negative. So it changed signs. All right, here I think we'll use this point right here. Okay, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14. So 7, -14. And I kind of got to find that spot on this side. So we just kind of make a little mark here, and it Looks like it's right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we're at 14, -7. And you can kind of figure out now that reflection, the number's really not changing any. It's either flopping or switching places, or it's changing signs. So here it was a 7, then it became a -7 in the other spot. Here it was -14, and it became a +14. So your X's and Y's change places, but they also change signs. So we're going to write -y, -x. So your Y changed signs and became the X. Your X changed signs and became the Y. That one's a little bit confusing. But remember, this line is Y equals -x. Okay? So look, this was your X, this was your Y. Y equaled -x. So you just plug that in. And then you can solve this for X by dividing by 1 or -1, and you get your other one. Okay? Down here in this corner, let's make kind of a cheat sheet here for our types of reflections. So the first one we're going to say is over the X axis. In order to do that, your formula starts at X, Y, and goes to, well, this one right here was our X axis. So it went XY to X -y. The next one is over the Y axis, which was our triangle. They always start XY. It went XY to -XY. So -XY. The next one is over Y equals X. We'll start XY, goes to, that's this rectangle, XY, and then you have YX. They just flipped spots. And the last one was over Y equals -X. So XY goes to, that was this one right here. So you had XY. When you reflect it over, you get -Y, -X. Okay, and these will be important for you to know. Okay, they will be on the test. It may be on the test, it may be as simple as, what's the formula for a reflection over the x-axis? And you just have to write in that formula just like it is. All right, that will finish up the lesson on reflections. You will have an assignment given to you on Canvas that you will need to work through. As always, if you have questions, please email me. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next lesson.